Hi everyone and welcome back to the Road Workshop. Today we're going to turn this space here into a fully functional paint and sanding booth. Let's go. I started by designing the paint booth in Fusion 360, designing the two walls, ceiling structures, and ceiling and floor for the storage unit and also the paint booth. That way we knew the quantity of wood and the cuts we needed to do. So now that we have the build plan for this whole space, the first step is actually clearing it out because there's, we don't have any storage in the space yet. So we have armor crates, we have fan, a bunch of 3D prints, leftover wood from the renovation that most of it need to go out. So I'm gonna start by removing everything, making the actual amount of space required for the paint booth in this corner, and we'll catch up after this. This was by far the easiest step, but the most boring. But luckily the weather was really nice, so I was able to do it in quite a rapid time, and also we could play with the dog. God love our supervisor. Once the dog was thoroughly exhausted and a generous amount of petting was done, we could move to the next step. To give a bit of context, we filmed this entire video back in December of 2022. Right now it is May 2023, so it's been quite a while, so this explains why the winter coats and also just the cold weather in general. While I was in the shop organizing all the different lengths of wood that we needed, Felipe was hard at work outside cutting all the 2x4s that we needed for these steps. As we all know, the plans don't always work out the first time around. During the renovation, I forgot to take into measurements the actual foundation lip that is still inside that was insulated using foam and plywood, which I didn't take into consideration in the plans. So here I'm calculating what we need to notch out of the 2x4s and the actual length that we need so everything fits correctly. Now, the most difficult part of this process wasn't to actually assemble the walls, was to work in the very cramped space we have in the shop. The shop is 13 feet by 23 feet, and with the 3D printing rack, the computer station, and everything of the sort, and all the lack of storage we have, it made the space really tight to navigate and to work in. So, but beside that, it was a really simple construction that took only, I think, 20 minutes to build the first wall. To make sure all the stud work was properly aligned, I used a spacer that I could fit between the different studs to make sure that they were in place properly and everything was straight and square. By no means I'm a carpenter, so please do your research if you want to do such a project. While designing these plans, I tried to follow as much as possible the guidelines for constructions of a floating wall, so keep that in mind, but I'm not an expert. Please do your own research. The same steps were repeated for the second wall, but this time I doubled the studs at the corner for the door opening to make sure it was properly strong, since the top of the paint booth would also be serving as our storage loft, if you will. Once again, I'm using the spacer to make sure that all my studs are at the right distance from each other. Well, good morning everyone. It's day 2 of the building process. It is not so bright but early. It is cold. Yeah, that's what happened when you do a build outside in December in Quebec. But yeah, so yesterday's accomplishment was the 2 walls. They're fully built. I still have quite a few cuts to do, which I'm going to do right away. For the roof structure, and also some wall braces on the actual wall of the shop. I've already compiled everything behind me on that wall with all the blueprints and all that. So it's going to be quite a fast work to do everything. So I'm going to cut that all at once since it's mostly all the same length. And I'm gonna cover the walls in plastic, possibly, before Felipe comes in. But we'll see. That might be a 2-person job, and I might not be able to do it all by myself, but we'll see. So yeah, I'm just gonna start working again. attaching the first wall brace to the actual shop wall, so that way we can actually tie in the floating wall so that we don't have to hold it or just have to kind of finesse it to stand up. It would be a lot safer and just stronger overall. We're gonna anchor it to the concrete floor later on in the process. Alright, so the entire frame has been secured and I drilled some concrete anchors into the floor. This thing is seriously solid, it's not going anywhere. Alright, so I'm out of breath. These pieces here, all the wall brackets if you will, the wall supports which are directly screwed into the stud of the shop walls are entirely secured. I swear this thing, I've said it already like a few seconds ago for you, but it's like, it's sturdier than like a house wall. Like, it's crazy strong. The next step is to take all of this wood here and start to assemble the wall, well not wall, the ceiling structure, and I have some other pieces down there that are going to fill in the gap between each studs, I don't know the term for the ceiling, the planks that are going to go across the ceiling. There we go. So yeah, I'm going to work on that and it should be quite quick, and then after that we'll just be able to install the plywood. I have to make this quick. The SD card is almost full. I cut the 2 plywood sheet. I'm absolutely exhausted. It's dark outside, it's freezing in the garage again because I had to open the door. Now I'm just gonna hoist that up there, screw it all down, and I'm gonna be done for today. And honestly, that's gonna be the end of the video, guys. So yeah, leave a comment, subscribe, leave a like, that's always appreciated. So yeah, final step for today. See you all soon.